organize your amazing ideas into a powerful book, you are in the right place.
At the right time to learn how to write your book.
Hi, I'm Joyce Glass.
And I'm Cherrilynn Bisbano, and welcome to The Right Hour, nonfiction tips from the Right Coach team. We are so glad you joined us today.
Welcome to episode 804 of The Right Hour. Our world today is connected in many ways, and we need to be aware of how our differences can help and hurt others. We enjoyed a powerful discussion on diversity with our guest, Jevon Bolden. Also, she shares tips on how to create a daily writing practice. For more than 15 years, Javon Bolden has served in various editorial roles from both Christian and mainstream traditional publishers, from copy editor to senior acquisitions editor. Now leading her own publishing consulting firm in Bolden Media Group, she remains as an essential editorial partner, ghostwriter and writing coach, publishing consultant, and now a literary agent for a number of ABA and CBA best-selling authors. While she and her team provide custom editorial and publishing services to independent authors around the world, she has an experience in a broad range of topics, including natural health and wellness, spiritual and personal growth, Christian living, and children's nonfiction. Jevon has a Bachelor of Arts degrees in English with a minor in sociology from the University of Alabama. And may our discussion inspire you to take a closer look at your writing to make sure you are being sensitive to people different from you. Welcome to this episode of The Right Hour. I've got Cherrilynn Bisbano with me on the Right Coach team, and we are interviewing today Javon Bolden. I'm so excited to have you, Javon.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, Joyce. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to your audience and your writers.
Thank you. Well, first, if you could tell us a little bit about you and your journey to becoming a writer, an editor, and a publisher. How did that all come about?
Well, it came about after college. Only thing I knew was that I didn't actually want to spend I was in college, knew that I did not want to spend the next 12 or so years working toward being a neurosurgeon. That's what I was in school for at the time.
Oh, wow.
Biology major. And I did well. It wasn't that I was bad at it. I was good. I did well. Just wanted to find my passion. I said, well, what do I really want to do? What do I want to spend the bulk of my life doing? And of course, we sometimes weigh out those decisions between a passion and something that'll make us money. Mm-hmm. I wanted to have both. I'm usually the type of person who wants to have it all in some ways. So it sounds weird because even as I think about what I'm doing now, most people would not connect that with being very lucrative, the starving writer stereotyping. But I did change my major in college to English as I thought back to the only class in high school in my senior year I would not skip. All seniors, we just had this thing where we wanted to skip, leave campus, get in somebody's car, go to Taco Bell or something like that. And I was one of those who did that occasionally because I was a good student, but I still skipped class, whatever. So I enjoyed English so much. I love the idea of reading and experiencing culture through someone else's eyes, experiencing a location, a place, ideology, a thought process, any beliefs. We can experience that through other people's writing. And it's sort of like I don't actually have to do these things. Some things you don't want to do that you're reading, but you can kind of get a window into somebody else's world. And I just loved it so much. The other part of it, of course, is that you get to see yourself. You're actually looking into a mirror. You get to understand yourself better. And English was just that space for me. And I said, I kind of want to live there. I love the idea of being connected with others in that way, and also being very well connected with myself, what I think my inner world. And so writing, being an introvert that I am, that English was just that perfect environment. So I changed my major to English. And yeah, and so that was it. And after college, I applied for some positions that sort of fit the person with, when you're looking at the job descriptions, you're trying to figure out, well, okay, the requirements were person with an English degree or whatever.
Right.
I applied to every position I could find in that area. And I got a call back from one publisher, and I started out in the industry as a copy editor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of how it started. And then after being an editor for 12 years at one publisher, I moved on to the next in children's publishing. So let me back up. I was an editor in Christian nonfiction publishing, trade publisher, traditional publisher. Mm-hmm. Spent 12 years there as an editor, then left and went to another publisher and worked in children's nonfiction for a number of years. And then just launched my company in November of 2017 to help people publish independently and to help them land positions with publishers. So I've been doing that for it's a little over 2 years now. It was 2 years in November. Yeah, I tried. It's obviously a long story because it's 16 years plus college of information. So I hope I answered that appropriately.
Oh, you did. Yes, you did. I had read on your website, this is Cherrilynn, I had read on your website something about diversity in writing. Can you give us, what is your definition of diversity and how do you, Javon, apply it to writing?
So, of course, diversity covers a variety of things. One space is ethnicity. We've talked about gender diversity. There's, obviously religious diversity and educational diversity, economic diversity, ideological diversity, philosophical. So different ways of thinking, accepting different ideas and thoughts into a space. So diversity, of course, is just, the idea of difference and variance from a number of positions in life and perspectives. And how I see that reflected in writing is where all of that can have a place and a writer can write authentically from any one of those positions.
Yes.
And then even reflect ideas different from them in a dignified and respectful way. It does not mean that it has to be agreeable, but that's my definition.
Yeah.
I like that definition. I like what you said, Javon, about we need to be respectful, but we don't have to agree.
Right.
No, we don't. Yeah, we don't have to agree. But I do think that when you're presenting I did not personally take this class, but when we take those classes on debate, you have to repeat, kind of say what you understand the other person's position to be, and then you state your position.
Right.
And it's okay sometimes it's actually pretty interesting. No, not sometimes. Most cases, if we respect that, those environments where there's difference are so wonderful to be a part of.
Right. Right.
I love diversity because as a writer, it opens up my eyes to the world. Not just the little world I was born in, but diversity just opens up my eyes to what's really going on out in the world. Not just my own little world, what's really going on in other viewpoints.
Right. And I think
absolutely.
And I think that's a lost art right now, is respecting people's differences. That's a kind of a beef of mine, is just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I don't like you or I hate you. It just means I don't agree with you. I look at a world through a different lens, and there needs to be respect both ways. I feel like if somebody doesn't agree with me, that's fine, but that doesn't mean you need to attack me personally about that either. If just because of differences of opinion, and I think that's a lost art. I feel like our founding fathers of the United States did that well. It is they debated things, they didn't agree about everything, but they were able to work through things and have things protect us so that we can all work and live together. So I love that, being respectful and kind to each other. Well, tell us.
Yeah, and I think that there's, I also think that there's agreeability where we, obviously we won't agree, but, of course, being able to state, which is where writing is very effective, essay writing and opinion writing, where you feel like someone's position could be harmful to you. Even, sometimes we don't always know if even what we think or believe is harmful to someone because we are not in their position or not in their space.
Correct.
And so even being able to talk through some of the responses, having room for that, that's, writing presents that opportunity as well when you're reading someone who is coming from a different position. Sometimes we're able to even, that's an opportunity for us to, like Cherrilynn said, kind of grow because we're seeing a perspective different than ours. And what we thought was, okay, I can have this position. This is fine for me. But writing has a way of showing you how what you think or believe affects someone who is different than you.
Yes.
So I think that's highly valuable when we're talking about growing and being in community with others. Maybe I'm not always connected with a certain group of people, but if I read from their perspective and I do engage with them or have that wonderful opportunity to do that, I'm able to say, okay, my way of processing or seeing them or my own belief about something or another affects them in this way. And I want to make sure that I'm a safe person so that I'm not harming them and their personhood, so yeah.
Right, exactly. That's where you can be respectful of others and not agree with them and by looking at things from their point of view. So that's wonderful. Well, what common mistakes do writers make using diversity in fiction and in nonfiction? If you want to bounce off either way, what are some of the things that you've seen?
I definitely think one of the challenges with writing diversely, if you are a person who is from one community or one thought process, one ethnic group or something, and you're writing from that place and about that thing or whatever, there's usually not much challenge that you have. It's when you're reaching over to write about someone who is different than you and writing those experiences. And those are usually where those mistakes are made.
Yeah.
Writing from a place of ignorance, not really knowing what is actually happening in that community or in that person, from that person's perspective, writers can end up, sometimes unintentionally and sometimes intentionally, it depends on the person, truthfully, can end up writing into stereotypes and promoting stories that are not fully representative of the space that they're writing into. So those are most of the challenges that I experience. I do, of course, do some sensitivity reading for writers who are writing outside of their own ethnicity. And so a lot of those are just a lack of experience with the group and not, when we're writing, we should be doing research. We should be connecting with people who lived in, and we've even talked, as I'm just talking about we as coaches or publishers or whatever, when we're talking about fiction, driving down the street, drive down the street you're writing about, or if it's a real place that you're writing, really kind of get in there and experience. If you're writing about a person who is not from your ethnic group, talk to them, engage with them, have dinner with their families, really and then I will add this other part, get sensitivity reading. And sometimes that really helps because it could be a situation where you should not actually be writing the story. That happens sometimes where the story is not yours to tell. And so just really kind of knowing that and reaching out to people who do the same work that you all do, that I do, and get the feedback that you need. Be able to say, okay, maybe this isn't the story I should be telling. Maybe I should encourage this person to tell their own story. So those are some of the issues that I see, just writing outside of your comfort zone, writing outside of what you know, what is true for you, what is authentic for you. And so a lot of times writers are stretching and there's stereotypes, being promoted and supported. It just can be a really challenging thing when the mistakes show up, just not representing people fairly.
So explain what is sensitivity reading. Is that?
I was going to ask her the same thing. What is the sensitivity for the audience? Sensitivity reading is where a person who has experience in that group or community or ethnic group or thought, they're reading your work and critiquing it for fairness, authenticity, fair representation, and making sure that, the persons are reflected in a respectful light. Obviously, there are people, who are bad in every cultural
group or whatever. So it's not like we, don't tell the truth. That's not the idea, but making sure that they're presented in a fair light.
Something derogatory or offensive, that kind of thing.
Yes, to some degree. Yeah, but like I said, obviously there's points where we could be talking about a dictator or something.
Right.
Obviously he did some bad things, but we're going to respect his culture, his, whatever.
Right.
And so a sensitivity reader is a person who can read for your sensitivity in that area. Are you sensitive to these issues? And a lot of times, if we're not writing from that place, that lived experience, we could be insensitive and not know it.
Right, and
so the sensitivity reader is pointing out your blind spots in those areas.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense.
Javon, I wanted to ask you, in fact, I think I'm going to purchase your book, Pray, Hear, Write, where you have 20 days of prayers and fasting for breakthrough in writing. A lot of our listeners are Christians, but I think anybody could glean from this is how to just sit and listen and have a breakthrough in your writing. But can you tell us, when you were writing this book, what was your writing process like?
So it's funny that this would not fit into the perfect writing practice that we all. Oh, you know what? Maybe it would. So I'm gonna have to play around with this idea for a minute, and so that I can make sure our listeners know the value of a daily writing practice. So let me say this: that book was written through my own experience over the course of 16 years being an editor. Okay, I'll just put that out there. The other part of that is that I actually did try, write this content every day in a group that I'm an admin of. There's about 5,000 writers in this writers group on Facebook that I'm an administrator for. Mm-hmm. And I was walking them through a series of prayers. There's actually 40 of them, but I took 21 of them and adapted them for this work. I wrote on this book every day. However, the truth of the matter is I did not know it was a book until literally I was sitting in my writing time, praying and kind of thinking through, some things. And it literally hit me. You need to put this in a book. So the book came together in a matter of, a few weeks, maybe. And then I had it edited and all of the good stuff. I had a cover design. But yeah, it was a process, of course, a daily writing thing. But I think that's the wonderful thing about a daily writing practice is that sometimes ideas can come and what you have written before can be pulled into a wonderful work that really benefits your audience. So, and then, of course, if you are active in social media and building a platform, you'll actually have the opportunity to see how your content, impacts your readers before you've written it. So if you're providing a need or not. So yes, writers, I encourage you to engage with your audience in social media. That's very helpful.
Definitely.
Or if you're a speaker, you can begin to speak some of those things, in your talks, in your workshops or whatever you facilitate and kind of test out your content ahead of time before writing. So that book did come out of my writing practice. But as far as putting it together and deciding it was a book, that happened really fast.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That is an interesting take on that.
I'm excited to get it. It's something I love to do, books about prayer and writing and things like that. And you've got it all in one. It's like mind, soul, and body. Because as writers, it doesn't matter what, so we were talking about diversity. It doesn't matter what religion we are. We have our hope in something. We get our power from somewhere. And we need to do the holistic mind, body, soul thing. Take care of ourselves and pray, meditate. And this book will probably help many people. Not that Javon didn't know we were going to talk about her book.
I'm so excited. I really have received such wonderful responses from writers who have read. They have been sparked into new ideas. They have finished book proposals. They've broken through blockages you know, all kinds of things. I've just received such engaged with Pray Here, Right?
I think what you were saying is many writers have been helped by your book. They were
yes, I was just
to do things. Yes.
Yes, quite a few mentioned to me that they have been able to finish books that have been long time coming. It's been hard to break through in some areas as far as, writer's block, which I think is not completely true. They've been able to find that vein and, really pour out onto the page. If some have mentioned, I finally finished my book proposal. I broke through this space and that space. The creative block was there. And so a lot of wonderful testimonies and responses have come from writers who've read it.
Isn't that why we write? Because we want to invoke emotion and help other people and help people, inspire people. That's why I write. I write to inspire people and help teach people.
Definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I love that your book is doing that. Well, what do you feel is a hot topic for the upcoming year? Do you have any insight for us from like the publishing standpoint of what they might be looking for, or what is hot right now that people are working on or doing?
The space that I operate in is Christian publishing.
Right.
And one of the main topics, which I think is so wonderful, well, I could say this across the board, is women, just becoming confident in who they are, the gifts that they have, the talents, expertise, professionalism, leadership, being able to confidently walk in that in their professions or in their, ministries, whatever they're dealing with. And a lot of content is coming through in that vein over the next few years. Just wonderful things about being confident in your voice. It's just been really cool. That's what I see coming up. That's the new hot topic. Not a new hot topic, but
women and leadership and their confidence level. Yes, definitely.
There's a wonderful turn of culture and events and social structures that women are rising and being able to speak their truth. And and I really see that as being a wonderful hot topic in books coming in the next couple of years.
Yes, awesome. Well, give us some words of advice and encouragement for some new writers, or maybe someone who's struggling writing their book. Maybe they're stuck, and it could be a confidence issue, or it could be a time issue. They've got a demanding schedule and they're trying to squeeze it in the wee hours of the morning or night. So what encouragement or advice do you have for those people?
Well, I encourage you to keep at it. You set the time and keep going for it. Or early morning seems to be a good space to begin to write. That's when you're fresh. There's no distraction. I recommend for my writers that they carve out that time between 5 and 7 a.m. before anybody is waking up, before work starts to call, and before even checking email. Go ahead and go into that space. If you have a spiritual or religious practice, I know some people feel like writing is its own thing, but writing is something that flows out from the inside of us. And I really feel like sometimes when you join those two practices together, your spiritual, religious practices, some really true and authentic and powerful writing can come from that space. I have friends writers who are movers, they run or they have their yoga or something that they're doing in the morning, but have a way for you to either use your voice recorder or have a quick pad to write down ideas, because ideas, when I used to work out in the morning, I need to get back to it, everybody. But a lot of ideas would just be coming because your blood is pumping. I mean, literally your brain is highly engaged, or it has room to engage. So I just encourage you, if you have certain daily practices, involve your writing in that space. And as far as finding time, you carve out that time, you make that time. And yes, sometimes you have to combine more than one thing together, especially when it comes to those daily practices, because writing does need to be something that you're doing every day, especially when it comes to perfecting the craft.
Right.
One other piece of advice that I would throw out is, use your social media to try out ideas. Blog. Sometimes writers are like, I don't know what to write, or I thought about this, or I have this idea and I don't know what to do with it. Put it on your blog. Try it out. See, yes, have a blog, because sometimes you'll have sometimes what I consider can be writer's block because you won't release your ideas.
Right.
You got
to let it break and let the ideas flow.
Yeah. So that's my advice. That's a little bit of my advice there. Yeah.
Well, I love that. We're talking about needing to get back into the exercise routine. I thought about that, and this week I have gotten up early. I've exercised 3 of the 4 days, and then
that's so awesome.
And because I do this full time, a couple of days I had my quiet time, and then I went and did either editing or writing with my client.
Yeah.
And it was a nice flow. And then I got ready for the day.
Right.
And it was a nice flow for me because, like you said, I was in that space.
Right.
And the ideas and the energy was all there. And there's a lot of energy used physically for creativity. So I like that. I like putting those together. And it's something that, if it felt great this week, I felt more accomplished this week, and it felt good to be moving again because I sit on my tail way too much. And so, as writers and editors, we do a lot of sitting, so it is good to get.
We do.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely. I love that, Joyce. That's so cool.
Yes. Well, thank you, and good luck with getting back on your routine, because I know you.
I know I need to.
But thank you so much for being here and all your wisdom you've shared with us. And we will share your links in the show notes. So if you want to learn more about Javon Bolden, you can. And we will have all of her information in the show notes, and you can learn more about her there. But thank you, and have a good day.
All right. You too. Thank you, Joyce. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Right Hour. Our goal is to help you achieve your writing dreams.
You are one step closer to write your book.
Learn how to get the book out of your head with the 4 steps we teach our clients. Sign up for the free email series at therightcoach.biz. That's the WRITE coach.biz. The link is in the show notes.
The 4 steps help you clarify your focus, create and organize your content, and complete your book. We share writing tips on the writing process, and you can download the writing planner to track your progress to create your weekly and monthly milestones to complete your book.
Don't let fear and overwhelm keep you from writing your book.
It's time to write your book.